Hey, good morning. Like today's MT Live is sure going to be fitting for this open. Candlestick shock patterns. Wow, this is like shorts are going to have their heads taken off here at the open. And the next thing, how might it fuel further upside? Because everything's about supply demand, and you cannot fault anyone for having been short overnight with the pattern on the daily time frame, with an expectation that the spiders could tag that 50 MA, maybe gap down there. You know, at the near the close, I made the comment in the green room last night is that when we see patterns like this, typically we think this if this would gap down tomorrow, it will be a gift to buy over a 5-minute high or whatever high, based on the trading plan that you use. And I follow that up with many times it doesn't happen. Now you just don't know. But now we have prices on the spiders gapping up to the top of yesterday's open. That's big. And so those that would be short are now caught. And they are, of course, saying, how do I get out of this debacle? Whether they're thinking about using option strategies or just, hey, I hope maybe this thing will get sold and it'll come back down. Well, we're price pattern traders, and this price pattern rarely ever comes back down to yesterday's low. I didn't use the word never. I used rarely, and it is not likely to. And so what's it going to do? Well, it's here where I've got this line, when I marked it, right? 462. And it's right around here. And one of the things that we talk about is what's significant as to what's to the left here. And so, one second. 462. So we've got this high here, and price has just traded down. It hasn't traded back up above it. So the concept of neutralizing support or resistance is not in effect at this point. We've got this resistance right there. So the expectation is going to be sellers, and you can see what it's been doing, over the last couple of hours, just chopping sideways there. But it's not going down either. And so buying continues in this area. And so I think the upside is probably limited because in part besides the gap, but it certainly could continue to rally a bit higher. So it's right here. We go to SPX, and okay, we're right in this area here. Would be gap. 46.25 would be gamma neutral. 46. Okay. I still have no idea what that means, McGraw. Maybe I do more so than when we first started these discussions a year or so ago. But maybe one day I'll get it. Looking to the left works out. But I mean, it's interesting that gamma stuff. No doubt it's interesting stuff. And market makers don't have to hedge much there anymore. All right, so I guess the terminology, you got to get used to the terminology. Same thing with whether we call it a topping tail or different terminology, learning the language and the lingo. Anyway, so gapping up near the top of the red bar, right, give or take, because based on what we see in SPX, gapping up near the top of the red bar. So 45.20, I think, is a no-brainer. And there's a little premium down below that, right, for 0 DTA on SPX. And I said it's rarely ever going to get back down to the bottom of this bar. So a credit spread at 45.20, and I think there was a little premium at 45.15. no brainer. You say, well, Greg, if it ain't going back down to the red bar, why don't I just go right below the red bar? Well, that's a personal choice. You're going to get a heck of a lot more money. But, if you have one of those situations where, the unusual happens, the pain is going to be severe. So when I look at these credit spread situations and I give a number, my belief is it's virtually impossible to go there. And, there are occasionally some days I say, I'm not interested at all because there's not enough juice far enough away. So down here, I'll go so far to say it ain't going there today. We'll see if I look stupid tomorrow. Anyway, it won't look stupid, but you know what I'm saying? The probability is there, and it's just not going down there today, not with a gap up of this magnitude. So on the upside, I don't know if I think I had something written down. Anywhere, I think it was 46, just right around here, around this 46.80. I'd have to go back and look at the premium, but so the gap up, could it get up there? Probably so, but this is the no-brainer trade today with zero DTA. As we come in, maybe the seasonality, all this hocus pocus about this Corona thing getting overdone, and yesterday, just based on Powell comments and so on, looks like Santa is still, wants to come to town. And hey, we're into December here, and no idea about new all-time highs, but this is a real good start to a turnaround. All right, let's move on. Qs, right, held up the best, which we talked about, up near 400, trading inside this sloppy range that's been going back and forth. And as I look at this, it's like, hey, sloppy bottoming, head and shoulders top. I just don't know. Let's just make it easy and call it a trading range for now, and see how the day ends up. But gapping up into the area of this overhead resistance, it's going sideways so far. Bullish price action, resistance is not too far away. I'm not going to be too anxious to press the accelerator at the open in either direction. And it may even come down a bit where those, looking at even the spiders, if for some reason it pops above here, right at the open, which sometimes they give this kind of catch a trade, meaning, okay, now you're caught, right? You see the bullish price action and it pops up and gets slammed right back down again. And why does that happen? Well, it's close to some resistance, and it's just the way the markets trade sometimes. But, if this popped up and came right back in again, it's probably going to bring in some selling, and then you'll get the jiggles. Diamonds. Should have tagged the 200 yesterday, but it didn't. And it's like, okay, it'll happen tomorrow. Well, it isn't. And so 348, gapping near the top of the red bar should be a good low. We'll see where the day ends up. And Russell, pounded down here all the way back down. And the futures are up nicely into the top of that bottoming tail bar, but at resistance. So as we look around here this morning, what we see is nice size gaps, futures rallying, bullish price action. Looking to the left, it's at resistance. So it doesn't say, hey, here's an opportunity. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that so much. When I'm hesitating in my thoughts is because my mind always moves toward a directional trade. Whereas this type of price action, as we look through, and Dan might have some suggestions, as we look at what the gappers are, there could be gap trades, of course, but put spreads that expire at the end of the week, there should be no-brainer trades everywhere. Now, is there premium there? That's the process to see if you can find it. And but that'll be what we'll be doing here this morning. All right. Futures, relative weakness, which it has been showing. It's at resistance. Not so impressive to get into this red bar, but let's see what this does today. If it can get a little deeper into this. Right now, this is the least impressive situation. Looked at S&Ps, it's flip-flopping back and forth there. Silver down again. Looks like, somewhere down here is where it's going to need to come down. But you can see the momentum is slowing. The lows of the bars are getting closer together here. Whereas you could see the fluidity of that movement. And now, these bars are, if you were to put this on a line chart, you would start to see how the line is starting to curve, but it hasn't been able to turn yet. Gold, doing a little better, but something comes down like it fell off the roof. It's not likely to go up with any real momentum until it repairs the damage a bit. It might take some time. Crude oil, so look, that was down. I got to change that. Up a little, maybe a breakdown bar failure. So this is something, a type of a pattern that I observed many years ago. It's in the manual, and it's where you get a 2 or 3 bars, a wide range bar, and it just looks really bad, bearish. And it goes down and it forms what I'll call a minor bottoming tail bar, and then you get an inside bar. I actually showed you this. I don't know if it was, I don't know where it was, earlier in the year. Showed you this pattern, whether it was gold or oil, I forget. And when it trades above the high, it's a type of a shock pattern because it sets up the unexpected. And that's what we're going to be talking about in MT Live today, shock patterns and setting up the unexpected. And it's something that I focused on a lot years ago, because looking at these price patterns, I was like, how the hell did that happen? How did prices get through that area that I perceived to be resistance or support, and shock patterns? And how did I get caught in something like that? And of course, it gravitates to, how do I make money from that? And you search for recurring patterns that communicate traders are either caught, or, hey, what they thought was going to happen, it ain't happening. And how does that create an opportunity? Yes. So this bar thing has to form. So there's nothing to do today. It has to form as an inside bar. And then you go long above the high of the inside bar. And it works the same on the top. So it's a little breakout, a minor topping tail, an inside bar, and it breaks the low. Now, the bottom works a lot better than the top. I've seen the top work well, but uptrends tend to not give it up so easily. And where the bottoms are more so, people get caught. Anyway, topping patterns just historically are much more difficult to pin down than bottoming patterns. And the same with using market internals. Just the bottoms are so much easier than defining tops. All right, transports, and everything's a mess. Will not hit the 200. Now we'll see as this Corona thing unfolds. Do the airlines, which we thought were over here, we're going to make a turn, and they just didn't do it. Whether this starts to repair the damage, and everything got pounded. This is down, as you can see, at the bottom of this support level here, and so on. And even some of the casinos, we'll see if these things start to rebuild again. And when you see such damage done on a lower time frame, go to the higher time frame. And so what we would look for here into next week would be a reversal here to set up a long, and obviously a put spreads. Internals are getting better. I don't know why that opened up so much. With the move down sentiment, said yesterday, if we get a down day, this could tag the lower bands and we'd have a buy setup. So now that it's gapping up, we'll see. We'll see if it doesn't, but no, this is way down. So we know that it was going to bounce. And if today was a down day, what I mentioned yesterday in the room was that if we get some kind of down opening, this could get down to minus 300. And historically, that has set up a short-term buying opportunity. So with this gap up, it's not going to get there. But, so we're going to have to go with other things here with price patterns, as I've explained, where things are at and what's to the left, resistance and all of that. But this was down far enough to say, hey, we're probably within a day or two of some type of a reliable turn based on breadth being to such an extreme. So didn't get to the minus 300, but hey, so let me back up on this as to just because the markets are gapping up here, there might be plenty of stocks that are still getting beaten up. So even though the market could stay up, remember the conversation early in the week, there's the market and then there's individual stocks. And we all look at the market as a measure to, where are things going? Well, markets can go through minor corrections and individual stocks could be down 25, 30, 40%. And so one of the things, the alert that happened yesterday in the green room was the percentage of stocks below their 40-day moving average. It's down to a historical extreme, and it's been grinding down just the way this has been grinding down and got to an extreme. So it's just another measure of looking at what's going on under the hood. Yet the option traders weren't stepping up to say, hey, we think this is going to crash. And no, they weren't doing that. It was getting more bad. I think it was like a 0.9 where, on a day like yesterday, it could have been, 1.2, possibly 1.3, and didn't get it pushed down there. Anyway, I'll turn it over to Dan. What would you do for Friday? SPX spread? Or EWF? I'll let Dan answer that. That's not a symbol. End of week. Oh, SPX end of week. I don't know, Joseph. I can't tell you the end of the week.
Well, I think we'll be able to tell them within an hour. If it depends if it goes strong or not.
Yeah, I could give a best guess scenario, but hey, look. So if you want to just take it from what I just said, is that it's not going back down there. Well, if the market sells off today and it comes down to 4,600, go look down here for Friday, down near to 4,500. I think that'd be a no-brainer. Go ahead, Dan. Bitcoin, I wouldn't call it bullish yet. It's improving. It's getting better. So this is, this is the kind of thing, the same thing what we have here today, right? It's not exactly the same, but we got a big red nasty bar yesterday on the indices and a gap up. And so if we get a close like this today in the indices, it becomes like Bitcoin. That was just a shakeout. And so as this goes sideways at resistance, yes, we look for this to push higher. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I'm here, Greg. But what a good timely topic today. Yeah, Greg. We're all hearing echo when I'm talking.
Hi, mic was off. I think it's coming from you. I don't know why you're getting echoed, but
I'm doing nothing different than I do every day. It's gone though, whatever you did. All right, so big gap up. We did put on 2 call spreads yesterday, Goldman, but they were short term. They're for Friday, and it's over. It's the 395, so we're still fine for now. And we did Netflix, which was just a nasty downtrend. And that's just for Friday also. But now, you just eyeball this. It's like 25% gap. So that's fine. So that'll be an inside bar if it closes like this. Be a bear 1, 2, 3. So that one's fine also. And then obviously our longs are okay. XPEV, I said, let's, with this gap up, let's leg into a covered call at the open. Talking about Bitcoin, this is a block ETF. So this is an incredibly sloppy buy setup, but today's gap over yesterday's red bar is making this a bullish turn. So let's, we can sell an out of the money put spread on that. Any other questions, just ask. We've been nursing this Boeing and IWM. Gappers here. Yeah, Apple, we were watching it all day yesterday in amazement of strength. And we were going to do a put spread. I was watching it into the close here, and then I turned my head and it just ripped into the close to all-time highs as the market's freaking out over Corona. Apple's at all-time highs. I just saw this little guy going by the ticker, ARCH. Look at this weekly. So this totally 100% looks like a SPAC to me. How they hover around 10 bucks. And look at this thing, ripped up to 18, all the way back down in a coma, collapsed. But now, look at it, it's a bottoming pattern. So let's just keep an eye on this. We have bottoming tail, we have gap reversal, retest, 20 MA curling. That could be very interesting bottoming. Valley, I've been watching this for like a week or so, and now it's gapping over a red bar. So another bottoming pattern I like. We can buy a 5-minute high on that. Avi, I don't know what got this thing going, but it looks like a either a pump and dumper or Reddit toy. So I got no interest. Twitter, I just saw the ARC lady on its face on CNBC, and then the byline said she bought 1.1 million shares. And you know how we say that we trade people? And then, we look at the chart, obviously, for a reflection of where to get on board. So as soon as I saw that heading, with 99% certainty, that's going to bring in buyers, because you got people following the ARC lady who's popular. So if the ARC lady does something, oh, I better get on board too. And so, it's gapping up as expected, $1.20 or so. But it has, the daily is a total mess, but a nice void on the intraday. So that could turn out to be a little day trade. Zulu Sierra here, I put in the bottom right. 370, gapping over a red bar. That's too excessive for me. These red bar ignores, I like them when they gap right over the red bar with a price void. AIP, recent IPO, which it actually closed at an all-time high. This is a bull 1, 2, 3. And now it's gapping down, but it's an acceptable gap down. So now if it can take out the high, then it'll be, this bearish gap down negated. So I like that a lot. I'm just going to set an alarm at, I don't know, 27:30. Yeah, all the fangs are gapping up here. Box had earnings 26.20. All right, see, so that's a shock pattern. That's a shock pattern, but there's no trade set up. It's gap into a wall of resistance. I'm just going to delete you. It's not tier 1 or tier 2. HPE had earnings gapping down a little bit. Does have a price void, 30-minute low. That could be a short. NTAP, it was gapping over this red bar, in which case I would have said 30-minute high. Sure, David, but I don't know if you've heard me talking about it. The gap's kind of excessive, but sure, absolutely, it's a candidate. Another recent IPO, 72.40. That's a bullish gap. So let's watch that, maybe 30-minute high. There's Sulu Sierra, AMBA, 205. It's a bullish gap, but gap in resistance and too extended. But it's a shock. Look how many red bars it's gapping over. Cream gapping down. 273, it's a big gap to support. So I don't know what to do with that. Lester, I can't tell where you're gapping. DCI, come back to you. There's our XPEV that we're already in. Let me put that in a window. We're going to leg into a covered call. Bird. Is this All Birds Inc? I'm gonna have to look that up. Do you all know those little scooters that you rent, like rent bicycles as shoes? Okay, because I read that Bird it was going to go public, and there's like 3 main competitors, and Bird, I forget what color they are, but those things, wow, tick 1,700. Here in Lauderdale, they had 3 or 4 companies renting those scooters, and they were such a nuisance. And so they've been banned for a while through Corona, but the newspaper said they're inviting them back into town. But no, whatever this is, it looks horrible. All right, big gap. So we just gotta, first step